Good morning. I'm guessing you just got your bees. Have you read this book? I'm guessing you've already read this book. If you haven't, it's probably a good idea. So it's May and you just got your bees. Well, let's talk about what you're going to need to do first before they even get here. I'll put that aside. The first thing you're going to need is some kind of setup like that to put your beehives on. In this case, I've got 2 blocks and 2 4x4s. It's not necessary to do it this way. You can use pallets, you can do a lot of other things. A lot of people do. And some people have very nice bee yards, and some people like me have bee yards where they probably shouldn't be, like on a hillside. And now what's happened here is I've got this sloped so that if any rain falls on my beehives, it'll flow out the front, or into my beehives, it'll flow out the front. So, let's set up your first beehive. The first thing you're going to need is a bottom board. Typically, it would go this way so that water would drain out away from the bees. Then you're going to need a super to go on that bottom board. Now my super here has the entrance on this side, so any water inside will run out of the bottom. So let's say you got your first nuke here. We open it up. What we should have is a queen, 3 pounds of bees, a couple of frames of brood, and a couple of frames of honey, and 1 frame of foundation. So basically, the foundation looks like this. It's a plastic foundation. It's got little cells built into it. So I put that in the middle of the hive. Now this is drawn comb. It's comb from another hive that I had. And there's no honey in it to speak of. There's a little bit maybe. But there's probably at least 1 or 2 full of honey combs. Here's another comb that's partially built out. Well, let's say that's also a drawn out comb with honey in it. In addition, we have another comb that has bees on it and brood, and I don't have any brood here to show you, but you probably can see them in my other videos. So you should probably have 2 frames of brood in it. Now the rest of the hive would have 5 more frames, perhaps, of just foundation. That's what you buy extra to fill out your hive. So in our hive we have a frame of brood, a frame of honey, maybe another frame of honey, and then another frame of brood, and just a piece of drawn comb. So we put that in there, all to the center of the hive. Then we add our other frames to fill out the hive. But in this case, rather than put 10 frames in, we put 9 frames in. That's because the bees need something to eat and fill out those frames. They need something to make wax. Even though there's a flow on, it's a good idea to put a 1-to-1 sugar syrup mix in the hive with the bees. So in this case, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I need 1 more. And that brings us to what we need as tools for. Let me go get my hive tool. This is my little kit I use for carrying my tools. It's really handy. One of these little totes with a handle in the middle. Inside I have a bee brush and a hive tool. Now the hive tool here is what you use to move your frames over. Put it down and move it so you have room. Then you can fit, oh looky there, that didn't work. This protector feeder is a 2-frame. It holds more sugar water, which is great for a new hive. So let's just even that up. Put them towards the center. So in this case, I've got the 5 frames that I put in from the nuke, plus, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 frames in here. So that's enough for a start. Let's talk a little bit about the sugar syrup. You mix sugar syrup 1 to 1. A quart of water with a quart of sugar is basically 1 to 1. You warm it up until it's soluble, and then you can put it in a feeder. This feeder has a ladder in it. You put the syrup down into here, and this keeps them from drowning. That's a good thing. So now, I've centered these all up. There's a little more room on the outside on each side. In between is just bee space. Bee space is 3/8 of an inch, or down to a 1/4 inch, that the bees won't fill with propolis. It leaves them space to walk in between, and it makes it possible for us to have removable frames. This was discovered in the 1800s by Lorenzo Langstroth. Kind of hard to pronounce. At any rate, now we have our full beehive. There's one more thing that the beehive will need in the bottom board. This is called an entrance reducer. Here, there's a small 3/4 inch or so opening that you would put on your new beehive. The reason you want to do that is because you want to keep your other bees from robbing this new hive. So it goes right down in the front. Let me show you. I'll turn this front around here like this. This is an old front, it's got some dirt on it. And this would go in here like this. The bees can get in that small opening. And not a lot of bees can go. It's in there. So that gives them protection because they can have their guard bees at the front and ward off any intruders that they don't want in their hive. Now I'm going to turn this back around because, I'll just leave it that way. But we know that front entrance needs to go on a downhill side. So now there's one more thing we put on our hive. This is called an inner cover. So it would go like this on top here. The top here can be an entrance if you turn it over, but generally starting out, you would have it on the upper side. Ventilation will come in the bottom board and then come out this hole here and exit out the front of the hive. There's one more thing we need. We're almost done here. This is an outer cover. It goes on like this. And you're all done. You have your bees in. Oh wait, you're not all done. You should have ordered 2 nukes. So you need another whole setup. So for demonstration purposes, I brought this other nuke hive, just for you to see. The reason for having a second hive, if something goes wrong with the first one, you can repopulate your first hive by making a split. That'll be for another video. I've got a few on there. I think there's a double screenboard split I show. Anyway, there's a lot of different methods you can split a hive. Now there's one more thing. Let's pretend that you want to move your hives from one place to another quite often. In that case, you wouldn't use your outer cover here or your inner cover. You would use a migratory cover. It goes on like this. The reason to use migratory covers is because commercial beekeepers want to move their hives quite a bit for pollination or whatever. Now they can just put a strap around this and pick the whole thing up without having to. I think Reverend Langstroth by Lorenzo and if the bees falter, then our food chamber